Does Ukraine have the right to join NATO? If this question is put to Western countries, they argue that Ukraine is a sovereign state and therefore has every right to join NATO, and Russia has no veto over Ukrainian decisions. However, in reality, a country must first consider its geographical position before making such decisions. In 1975, Helsinki Charter clearly stated that every country is free to join political and military alliances of its choosing, but it also stated that a country must ensure that its actions do not undermine the security of any other country. In simple terms, you cannot set someone else's house on fire in order to build your own house. In 1990s, when the Soviet Union was collapsing and the US was at the peak of its power after winning the Cold War, these same principles were repeated in the Paris Charter. It emphasized that the security of each country is linked to the security of all others, and therefore efforts were made to preserve peace in Europe. This was not an ordinary concern. Europe had already witnessed two world wars. It had been divided into two blocs for 4 decades, and now the Soviet Union no longer existed. Maintaining peace with Russia was essential for peace in Europe. Along with this, NATO expanded, and that expansion eventually reached Russia's borders. Then in 2008, NATO announced that it would also bring Ukraine into its alliance. Now, if we consider the Helsinki Charter and the Paris Charter, and if Russia feels that Ukraine's entry into NATO threatens its security, then this would mean that Ukraine should not take such a step. But if Mexico or Canada were to one day talk about joining an alliance formed by China or Russia, would the United States allow it? In 1962, Soviet missile systems were stationed on Cuban soil. Cuba is a country very close to US. US didn't accept that its enemy's weapons and could be deployed in its neighborhood, and this situation brought the world to the brink of a nuclear war. Keeping all these points in mind, if the US doesn't tolerate its enemy forming close military ties with neighboring countries, then why should Russia tolerate NATO, which since 1999 has continued to advance right up to Russia's border?